Welcome to the Thriving Outside the Box podcast. Join me, Dr. Kimberly Grocher, a licensed psychotherapist, executive coach, and yoga and mindfulness meditation teacher, as I shed light on the stories of leaders and entrepreneurs across industries who not only dare to create their own path in their careers, businesses, and lives, but have found a way to do it while thriving mentally, physically, and spiritually. I hope you walk away with the inspiration to do the same. Welcome to another episode of Thriving Outside the Box. I am your host, Dr. Kimberly Grocher, and today I'm excited to have Alex Davis with me one more time. Say hello, Alex.
Hello, everyone.
So for those of you who have listened to the podcast for a while, you may recognize Alex from the second episode in season 1, where we talked about Alex's story and journey as a certified financial planner and certified public accountant. And today's episode is a little different because Alex and I are collaborating on an offering, Wealth, Water, and Wellness, which will be an immersive for women entrepreneurs that'll be taking place in Clearwater Beach, Florida in August. And we wanted to share a little information about the immersive that we're offering, as well as some of the themes that come up specific to women around money on an entrepreneurial journey. So just want to be clear, this episode is for women entrepreneurs. We'll be talking about that. If you're interested, even if it's not you and you're interested and you just want to hear what it's about, or you're considering, how this might show up on your journey down the line, tune in. So, Alex, I'm going to turn it over to you. Can you tell the people who you are?
Yes. And if you're not a woman entrepreneur, you probably know an entrepreneur. So make sure you share this episode because Dr. Kim and both myself, we have such a heart to serve women and money. And even if you feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm in that category, trust and know the way we approach money. You may find something in there for you, but especially share this with a woman entrepreneur in your life because they're gonna want to hear this. Because Dr. Kim is thebomb.com. As Dr. Kim mentioned, I'm Alex Davis. I'm a CPA. I'm a certified financial planner. And I'm also a holistic wealth strategist. And I primarily work with women entrepreneurs to really bridge the gap between the work that they're doing with their CPA and their financial advisor to really have someone who speaks their language because they're building wealth without a blueprint. And oftentimes you don't know what you don't know. And so being able to actually be that advocate and that strategist to make sure that they're not only building wealth, but it actually feels good is really my mission. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about, the high level about me. But I don't think that was your question, Dr. Kim.
No, I think that's great. Tell the people who you are, tell them what you do, tell them how you serve. So I want to, hand it over to you and kind of like what made you think that this might be an offering worth doing or collaborating on?
It was actually after our first episode. We recorded the episode and there was just so much synergy in the things that I was talking about from the financial side and then what you were seeing with multiple of your clients.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just talking about it over the next few months. And then we started, I think, even sharing more. And we were like, wait a minute, we need to do something about this. There's not a place in the market that has someone with your type of experience with the psychotherapy and the coaching. But what I really love about you is the somatic work that you actually bring in with your clients. And you shared about some of your VIP intensives that you've been doing and just the work that can happen in the few hours of working with you with moving through some of the body work in addition to the talk therapy.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, that's powerful. And then talking about what I do with women and their numbers, with actually being able to sit down with them for the first time after they've been avoiding or not understanding what's going on with their numbers to where now it's either causing them anxiety, stress, or it's holding them back from their next level. And I'm like, what is doing something like this? Not together in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of that, I was like, okay, we have to bring an event together. And it was like, why not? We are degreed up, experienced up, but we also have the heart to support these women. And I just thought, like, why not? We have to do this because we're not seeing it.
Yeah. Question for you. What do you think that some of the current offerings for women and who are entrepreneurs and working with their money, what are you noticing, especially from your professional gaze, is missing?
I think what's missing between like what I'm seeing with offerings for women entrepreneurs as it talks about their money is there's no correlation between the strategy of money and keeping it and protecting it and growing it, but then also the very real of what's going on emotionally, like the psychology side of the money. There's no connection where you talk about all of it. Because I think usually when women they hire someone or they go to events, they're talking about either how do you make more money, keep more money. So you get the strategy piece, and that's cool and all, but what happens when you're not doing it? Because we work with very high achieving, intelligent women. And the stuff I'm sharing isn't anything new when I talk about some of these strategies or things to do or who they should hire, but they aren't doing it. And so then that's the piece I often see that's missing. Or you go and you have the events that's very much manifest it all. Yes, just positive thinking. Work on that money mindset, girl. And then it's all yours. Yeah, that's cool and all. But if you don't know that you're overpaying the IRS $30,000, or you do know, but you're not doing anything to change it, you can manifest all you want, but you won't keep it. So there's a disconnect between yes, you need to be regulated around money, have a great mindset, all that, deal with money trauma if that's part of your story. And you better know how to manage your money properly and who you need on your team, or you bring all this money, but it doesn't stay with you, or you feel anxious and the whole litany of other things.
Yes. Yes. I could see how that would be such an issue. To that point with like around the money mindset stuff that I think a lot of coaches and other professionals are sharing right now. I do think there are benefits to those programs, but I think that many times in those cases, the shifting of the mindset is simplified. Do this.
Very. Yep. Yeah, right.
Just do this. And there's a focus on become a millionaire, become a this, become a that, which is okay. There's a place for that, right? And we know, given this current economy in this country, the millionaire is not what it used to be, right? Like it's almost like a necessity to live
for real
and have something later down the line, but also like to get to that place, there are certain practices, like you said, there are certain strategies, there are certain things that you need to have in place. There's a certain relationship with money that your money that you have to form before you get to those places. And what I see a lot in my work is this pressure of, I just got to change my mindset. And then the feeling horrible about themselves when they're not able to do that. And, me and other therapists specifically coming in and saying, it's deeper than that. There are certain things you need to work through or identify or help or become aware of to see why this is even your mind's position to begin with.
Oh, yes. Now, may I ask you a question? Why is the awareness piece so important in your experience with them just seeing,
Yeah, I think the awareness piece is so important because once you're aware of something, then you can choose what to do. Then you are aware that, okay, I'm aware that this is my pattern, or I'm aware of this is where this comes from. And so then once you have the awareness allows you to choose. Now, you may not choose to do anything differently right now, right? Like it may be like, yeah, I get it. I know this is why I do it. And I don't have time. I don't feel comfortable. I don't quite buy into the alternative, but you are accountable to yourself. I realize this is what I'm choosing versus moving from a place of this is habit. Like, I'm not sure why. I'm just doing what I've always done.
Oh.
So now if you're aware of something, now you can choose. So again, like using the example of not having an alternative. So maybe I do some research or I get some help on understanding what the alternatives might be.
Yes.
Or now I start to create a new way of doing this thing or responding to this thing or being with this thing than what I did before. And it takes a little more effort because it doesn't come natural. But okay, that's fine. But I'm aware of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
And that is so powerful. But this is why Wealth, Water, Wellness is so powerful because we have you and your skill set as a psychotherapist in helping identify and becoming aware. And then you say, then it gives you the option to choose differently. And so instead of then now going away in a separate occasion and see, okay, what are my choices? Now, me being in the room as well, to where, hey, here are some alternatives and other options in the same room that we can identify. We'll work with them on the from its financial standpoint. And then at our event, we're actually going to implement. So it's not like you get the information, you get your options, and then you go on about your business. It's like, no, what choice are you going to make and being supported to actually implement some of them? So that's, I think, when you talk about the awareness piece, awareness is so powerful, but sometimes you get the awareness, maybe you even identify the options, but then you don't have anyone to support you navigate through the options on the financial side. So I think that was the other piece of us coming together that we saw when we were talking about this is like, who's going to help them actually get to the through line? Who's going to actually say, hey, here's at least one action you can take so you can stop the habit or just being a pattern, you know? So when you were just talking about awareness, that made me think of that. And then my other question is if you think about the women you work with or people in general, once you identify, what are some of the patterns that you're seeing that is the actual reason for some of the money choices that are always the most healthiest, or I don't know if that's the right word, but that's holding them back?
Yeah. So I would say a general discomfort with money for various reasons. Being intimidated by it, in terms of the management of it, what it is, for a lot of people, there's deep-seated issues around math, at a big
Really?
Yes. Yes. So it's so interesting because I remember when we were in the Alex and I were in the same cohort of the Goldman Sachs Black in Business 1 Million Black Women program that was geared towards providing like a business education to Black female entrepreneurs. And it was a great program. And me and Alex knew each other before the program, so it was just a coincidence that we ended up in the same cohort. But I remember when we were talking about the homework, right, and the financial pieces, and you were like, oh, and blah, 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 and blah, blah. Oh, well, actually, I would do this a little differently because blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting there like, man, all these columns and numbers and I did well in math, math wasn't a big issue for me in school, but looking at spreadsheets and numbers and columns and this is this and this percentage and this my eyes start to glaze over. You know what I mean? It's like at some point my brain is like, yeah, we're not doing this. Not today.
Oh, makes total sense.
Yeah, this is a little much. So I was always like, imagine people that maybe did struggle with math or, there really is like your brain and your mind and your body are like, no, hell no. No.
Yeah, not doing this today.
Right.
No.
So you can have all the tools and all the spreadsheets and then put this here, put that there. But if your system or your automatic response is, this is not my thing, for whatever reason, it's going to be a struggle.
You just blew my mind with that one because with that description and being very vivid, you're right. Some people just are not wired for it.
So it's like, how do I either overcome that or find a way to move through that? Or what are the strategies that actually help me sit in my seat and look at this spreadsheet and figure out how to manage my money?
Yeah, because you have to do it.
Right, exactly.
You have to brush your teeth or they will fall out.
Right. Yes. And especially if you are working for yourself, especially if you are a business owner. Even if you hire these things out, you need to understand at a minimum what's happening with your numbers. I used this example with you. I'm not a financial professional. I have somebody do my taxes for me. And the reason Alex is not my accountant is just because I've had my accountant for years. That's the only reason. So I just want to say that. But that could be a possibility in the future. But anyway, so this person I've been working with for years, and this is why the relationship piece that you're talking about, you advise people on, is so important.
Yes.
Because she knows my patterns, she knows my habits, she knows how I manage my money. And I was at risk of owing a significant amount. And we were both like, what? wait a minute, But because I had certain systems in place, because I understand certain things, and because she understands my history, we were able to say, okay, hold on, wait a minute, what is this? And figure it out. This is, okay, so this is what this is. This is actually not the case.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have some knowledge and she didn't have some understanding of how I track things, how my business works, things like that, I could have been looking at a very hefty tax bill.
And I will tell you, you are not by yourself in that. Mm-hmm. And that's something I see on the tax side and the financial advisor side where I work is not understanding your numbers and then overpaying because income was overstated. Mm-hmm. And it usually comes up because someone gets a tax bill and they're like, this is a lot of tax that I'm owing, but my bank account didn't say I made all this money. They're perplexed. And oftentimes it's a bookkeeping issue. Mm-hmm. But if you're not staying on top of that, and even as, again, like you said, even if you have a bookkeeper doing this, you need to make sure, does this actually line up with what's coming to my personal bank account that's hitting my business bank account? And the only way you can do that is looking. It may be intimidating, but I love it. You're like, no, how finding a system, what do you need to actually sit down and look at it and understand it? Not to mention, it's people getting got every day because they're not looking at their money. Mm-hmm. And someone else who's dishonest is coming in and using it for things they aren't supposed to. Mm-hmm. Cardi B, a couple months ago, did an interview, and she said in 1 month, she spent $1 million on transportation. This does not include private jet, just on paying for gas, car note, traveling, Ubers, and stuff like that. $1 million in a month. And she fired her accountant because she was thinking, why did the accountant let this happen? No, you need to be looking at your account as well throughout the month. Mm-hmm. And I understand being busy. I understand that it can be very overwhelming. But it's like, to your point, we have to get a system in place that says, hey, send this to me at certain intervals throughout the week. Mm-hmm. Even as busy as I am, I need to know if I just spent $250,000 in a week on taxis or whatever. Mm-hmm. I need to know these things. And if not, okay, what's stopping me from taking full ownership of my money as well? So yeah, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot. And so, I appreciate, the information that's out there on how to build wealth and, get to a certain income level and stuff like that. But these are the pieces that you really need to understand.
Oh yeah. Foundation pieces.
Yes. I'm a big manifester, I'm, and all of those things and all of that. But you know what? There's some groundwork, there's some foundation that needs to happen. And, I think a lot of entrepreneurs that don't have or don't feel confident in this area, it's like, well, I'm going to wing it. I'm going to wish, I'm going to see, we're going to work it out. You know what I mean? But there's no plan. There's no, like you keep saying, there's no system. You don't understand it.
Yes. Yes. And see, and with that, I would like to know what you see, because what I have noticed is what that causes is from the outside, it looks like the business is doing great. Mm-hmm. It looks like even the woman is doing great. Mm-hmm. But inside, I'm having the conversations with the women where they're anxious, overwhelmed, stressed. If they could throw it away, they would. Or they built something so massive. A lot of times they don't enjoy what they've built. And that's causing them stress and angst. Family life is suffering. They're just overworked or burnt out. But all these things that are not conducive with, you've just manifested these beautiful things. When I think of manifestation, I'm thinking of abundance, prosperity, joy, contentment. Mm-hmm. But none of those feelings are there. They feel trapped. They feel imprisoned. Freedom is never a word they're using.
Yep. That comes up a lot in the work that I do with my coaching and my therapy clients who are women and who are business owners. And not even, not even just business owners, high-level professionals where there's a lot of anxiety. And a lot of times it's because they don't know their numbers. Well, it's a couple of things. So there's a lot of anxiety around not really knowing their numbers. So they're working, and working, and they're afraid to stop working because there's that fear of if I stop working, then I'm not going to have. Mm-hmm. And there are very real consequences to not having, especially if they're single women, right? Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So there's a real fear there of like, blah, 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 blah. But then they get into this cycle and they never stop working. And if they think about taking a vacation, if they think about taking a day off, if they think about taking a step back, it produces like almost a panic attack.
Wow. True.
But if
Yes.
that pattern is not disrupted, so a lot of times in my work, it's like, well, what are your numbers?
Yeah. Right. So true. I see it as well.
If you can your bank accounts not really bear this time off? And it's like, oh, I don't know. Right.
I didn't stress that you could be totally fine.
Right. I didn't even, I don't want to look at it. I'm afraid to look at it. I didn't think about looking at it. And one of the things that was so important to me when I was building my private practice, I had coaches who helped me before I took the leap into full-time private practice. And one of the things they always stressed to me was, you have to know your numbers.
Yes.
You have to know your numbers because that is what helps you make decisions.
So true.
Right? Like, and also what you track grows. Right. And maybe you could speak more to that, right? What you measure, what you track is what grows. But anyway, back to these clients. Yes. So that is a huge issue. The kind of fear that I'm going to lose or I don't have enough. And that is regardless of the number.
Big fact. It does not matter.
It does not matter. So maybe you did get like $10 million, right? Maybe you went to all these wealth conferences and you amassed $10 million. But if you don't know that what you have, how it works, how you grow it, how much you charge, are you charging enough, where the money is, all this, all of these things, it doesn't matter if you have $10 million or $10.
Correct. It's so true.
Right? One of the issues that I find a lot, especially with helping professions, is charging. Because, there's a lot of external messaging too around, what is appropriate for a helping professional to charge for their services. So that is also a huge obstacle because you may know what you need, or what makes sense. But if you have people outside of you or in your profession or in society telling you you're greedy, that's outrageous.
Yeah.
There's no way that should cost that.
Right.
Blah, 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 on down the line, then that's a whole nother obstacle too.
Yes.
So how do you get past this? This is what I'm being told I have a right to make. This is what I'm being told I have a right to charge.
You're going deep, Dr. Kim. Is this something that we're talking about in the immersive?
Yes. Yes. Because part of like what you're doing with the numbers and the figuring it out and figuring how much you need to charge, there also needs to be some work around what's getting in your way of telling somebody that is what you charge.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's the fact. That's the work.
Mm-hmm.
That's the work. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, yes, you know your number, you know what you need to tell them, but what's stopping you from saying that?
Exactly. What's stopping you from negotiating that contract?
Yeah.
Even attempting to negotiate. Whereas
that's the work.
I'm going to take what they giving me. Even though I know it's going to cost me to do this job because they're not paying me enough. How many of us have paid to do the work?
And this is the work that when you asked earlier about what I'm seeing with events and offers, that's the missing piece. Mm-hmm. Because it's great when your business coach tells you this is what you need to charge. It's great when your CPA is saying, hey, your revenue is short by this amount. If you just increase your rates, you could double your income. I've literally seen that with multiple clients. I'm like, hey, actually, if you just did this one tweak with this offer, like you meet your revenue goals really easy. Mm-hmm. But then they don't actually go out there and do it. Mm-hmm. That's the disconnect. Our immersive is like, we're going to have that conversation and actually have Dr. Kim who can actually support in walking through some of that, but also what are some tools that can help you? And I'm a queen of writing up a template. Do you hear me? Try this. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes we get in our own way, but it's like, no, actually, here are just some words that you can use. Our clients didn't even think that that's an option for them. And so even just being in a space with other women who are actually having these tough conversations, actually taking action towards where it is that you want to go, that even shifts the energy for you. Because I think too often we're trying to do stuff by ourselves.
Yes. That brings up a good point because I could hear somebody saying, well, why don't I just hire a coach and a tax professional or a tax professional who's a coach. You know what I mean? Why don't I just hire somebody to help me with this? And it's like, you absolutely could, and that is an option.
There are not a lot of me walking around this earth who even think to even have these same conversations. So there's that.
And that's why I love partnering with you, because I know a lot of financial professionals. Like I said, I've had my financial professional for years before I even met you. However, your approach and your skill set around it is very different than what most financial professionals are able to offer. And so being in the room with you is key, I think, because you can also tell people like, hey, even if you're not working with me, which I don't even think you're taking on new clients anyway. That's
not for tax clients,
right?
But for financial strategy, I'm your girl.
Right. So you can help people understand, how do I need to communicate with this tax professional so that I'm getting the information that I need? So I'm getting the level of service that I need. How do I decide who to work with, and that's really important.
Yes. Yeah. It's so important.
And then, like you were saying, the being in a group, the being with other women who are trying to overcome the same obstacles and being able to learn from each other. You don't realize, like, when you're in groups, right? Like, learning from each other, hearing resources from each other, building relationships. Me and you met on a retreat.
Yes. That relationship building is next level.
Yes.
And I will say, I don't know if I would have been in Goldman Sachs, except we were actually at a retreat in an infinity pool overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Wasn't that beautiful? And I think I mentioned something about the application, and you were like, oh, actually, I'm actually going to be in the upcoming cohort. This is what you need to do. You gave me some tips about interviewing, and it just, for me, it made me feel so calm. I did not go into that interview stressed or worried or anything. You were like, girl, you got this. Like, from my experience with interviewing and everything, I was like, oh, so helpful because of a relationship, because I got in the room. I invested in myself and got in a room with other like-minded women who are doing things that I wanted to do.
Yep.
So one, thank you for that, because that was like really like, that sealed the deal for me. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do great. I was so confident going into that. And I just think when you get into the rooms, like you said, the conversations that are happening, it's not just what you're coming to learn, but being around other like-minded people. Because I don't know about your clients, but I know with my clients, they're usually the one that everyone comes to, the responsible one, the one who's breaking the generational patterns, the one in her friend group that gives all the advice, who's checking on everybody. And the truth is, she does not have a lot of people around her that do that same thing for her.
Exactly. That's all of my clients. I work with some powerful women. I really admire my clients, but they are definitely those women. And being able to open up about these things, you can't do that with everybody.
No.
Because they don't understand. And so when you open yourself up to be vulnerable with people that don't understand, and this is why people talk about levels, and people get offended when people talk about levels, but levels are important, because if somebody's not on your level, and there are a lot of levels, there are a lot of levels, it's not just one. But if you don't have people who are on your level that can kind of speak into and provide guidance and mentoring that makes sense for your level.
Kim, you about to have me break out in the praise dance, because you're preaching now.
It's true. And so, of course, they keep it close to the vest. Of course, they kind of walk around kind of guarded, like, I'm not sure. I'm not seeing this. And it's not that you don't have people in your life who love you or support you or can provide help in other ways, but you need a community of people. I always tell my clients, like, you need your board table.
Ooh,
who's at your board table? And who's at your board table may not be at your Thanksgiving table. And that's okay. They don't need to be the same table. If you're going to be doing this, if you're going to be designing your own, again, business, career, life in a way that looks very different than what you've been exposed to, you need an advisory board.
And that is the key. Because you're right. When you are building something that looks different from everyone else, to everyone else, you are going to look crazy. It's like, well, why can't that be enough? You've already done so much. You mean to tell me you want to have this beautiful career and not work yourself into the ground? To make money, you have to work really hard. And so now you're telling me that you want to have this beautiful career, this beautiful, amazing, profitable business, and you don't want to be overwhelmed and overloaded all the time? and you're complaining about making all the time it happens. You're complaining about making $500,000 and you're only working 3 days a week. But it's like, well, wait a minute, but I want to get down to 2 because I actually want to host retreats and I want to travel and I want to do all these things. You better get in the room with someone who believes that can happen. And we're saying, hey, how do we look at the numbers to make that happen? What do we need to get rid of? What are some beliefs that's actually standing in the way of you executing that? Because if you go talk to someone who, like you said, is not on your level, they're saying, well, girl, well, why would you want that? I mean, you're being greedy. What? You got the vision. If you're given a vision, that means it's possible. Yeah. You better get in rooms with other women who are like, yeah, I don't like feeling this way. I don't think financial success means I have to be overwhelmed and stressed all the time. But too often, to your point, you are speaking to people who don't get it.
And it becomes a life or death situation.
Elaborate, please.
So like when you talk about that overwhelm or stress, that manifests in your body. And that is why women, and I'm going to say, because we're both Black women, especially Black women, there's research. This is not me, saying you can look this up, PubMed, you can go to, whatever, AMA, whatever. This is why we tend to be at such risk for these diseases, these chronic and terminal illnesses, these autoimmune illnesses, right? Because you're holding so much stress, you're holding so much overwhelm that your body was not designed to hold. But the messaging is, how dare you? Yes. The messaging is, you can't, or the messaging is, if you're going to, then this is the cost.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Meanwhile, there are many examples where this is not the case, but you wouldn't know that. So a lot of times when I work with my clients, it's helping to see this is not from a place of greediness. This is from a place of, feeling bad or guilty, or like you can't manifest, or you can't do this, or you shouldn't have this, and blah blah blah. This is your life.
Oh, that hits different. That hits different when you actually speak to the wear and tear it puts on your body.
Yes,
that could cause a terminal illness.
Yes,
that could literally kill you.
Yes, and that is the crux of my work. Like, I want to help women or people. Most of my clients are women. I specialize in women, but I do work with men too, where are the people. So, but whoever I'm helping, I really want to help you be well, whatever that looks like. If you are working 6 days a week and you are loving what you're doing and it makes sense for you and you're able to be well while you do it, okay, great. Let's do that. If you're working 2 days a week, and you feel like this is what I can do. Like literally because of whatever your health, financial, life picture is, this is what I can do. How can I do the most with it and balance that? Then that's what we do, right? But it does come down to wellness, and finances are a big part of the wellness picture.
All of that. And I'm very much like you with my clients. I'm about building wealth, but not at the expense of you. Wealth needs to also feel good. Very much like you, I understand that stress will kill you and the whole other litany of everything else. And so having and understanding your finances is important. So that way, those feelings, you can have those in check. But it really is about building a life that you love and that is well and healthy. It's just, it's too much going on in this world to be living life and hating it. Or like, why am I doing this? Like, no, like being well. And that is my crux of looking at that financial picture and make sure, how do we actually create a life and build wealth in a way that also feels and serves your wholeness, your well-being?
Yes, exactly.
This is why we're partnered, because we understand that life is meant to be lived and enjoyed. It's not meant for suffering. It's just, I don't know, life is beautiful, but it can be very short. And what is the point? And there's just too many ways to make what you desire a reality. Exactly. But I think it's very challenging when you keep it in your head and you don't get out in the world and make sure you're finding people that can support you, bring it to life, and feeling like, oh, I have to figure it out all by myself. You don't. You don't. And if you are a woman entrepreneur and you've gotten this far in this episode and you know someone, this is why Wealth, Water, and Wellness is going to be so impactful, because we get it. Yeah. We have Dr. Kim, who understands the psychology part, but also, and we didn't get to it a lot in this episode, I don't think, we didn't talk enough about like the body. And the body work that Dr. Kim does is just really, really powerful because the body keeps score. Like that mindset stuff is great. But if your body is like, girl, no, this doesn't feel safe either. You can know a thing and not actually execute a thing. And so that's the other component. And then finance, like you need to know your numbers, period. There's no way around it. There's nothing cute that I can tell you other than you need to know your numbers. But being and feeling safe enough to look at your numbers and then having myself, well, what do these numbers even mean? It's like, you might know your numbers, but what does it mean? Are you in a good spot? Not. So these are things that we will be touching on in the immersive. And I'm just really excited because I don't see enough of these types of events that bring all of these components together.
Me too. So with that, we're going to bring this to a close. We hope that if you stayed for the full episode, you are inspired. We will put the information for Wealth, Water, and Wellness in the show notes for those of you that can make it to Clearwater Beach, Florida, August 21st and 22nd of 2026. We would love to see you. And if for some reason, like whatever is not for you, hopefully this inspires you to start thinking about your finances in a different way, especially as an entrepreneur, as somebody who is creating their own path, creating their own blueprint, who's building this from the ground up, right? This is a piece that you just can't get away from. So thank you so much, Alex. As always, I'm so happy to collaborate and partner with you.
Yes, me too. I just have one question, Dr. Kim. If someone's hearing this, they can work with you. You offer outside of this immersive as well. Just I don't know if you put it in there.
Yeah. So if you're interested in working with me, I'll put my information in the show notes as well. I am grateful to say, like, at this point in time, I'm pretty full in that regard.
All right.
So if I'm not able to work with you, I'm happy to offer referrals because I have a group of wonderful colleagues who I know, like, and trust and refer to with confidence. So if I'm not your person, and even if you're listening and you're like, oh, you're cool, but I don't know if it's you, that's fine. Like if there's something you need and I'm not the person, I'm happy to help you get connected.
Okay. I was just wondering because I'm like, I need a VIP day with you, girl. So that's why I was wondering.
Yeah, no, I know.
Booked and busy. Listen, that's okay. That's why you better get to the immersive. And that's the other thing. Get to the immersive because oftentimes we are booked and capped at the number of clients that we can take one-on-one. But this group experience is just going to be next level.
Yes. All right. So we'll end here for today. Thanks so much again, Alex. And I will see you next time on Thriving Outside the Box.